Matt, thank you so much for joining, man. I really, really appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy day to come and share with some agents it's mostly a lot of agents that I work with, but I know there's some that, agents are a big part of our business. And I'm super excited for you to come in here and then just really teach some practical things that people are able to put into their business this year. 2025, new year, new me, right? So a lot of people are very wanting to kind of get something new started, and social media is definitely at the forefront. One of the things that I keep telling myself all the time is I truly believe that social media is the new cold calling in any type of business. And so I'm super excited, even if we get one person to implement any of the stuff that we're going to be talking about. I think it'll be well worth it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
before we get started, want to tell everybody that if you want to go to the next slide, Matt, don't feel the need to take pictures of what you see today. If you want to, we are actually going to give you three freebies today. Well, two freebies, and then we're going to give a giveaway. The last freebie you're not going to want to miss. Um, but you're gonna have to stick till the end if you want that one. So if you want to go ahead and either send myself or Matt a the word slides, and we'll go ahead and send you this whole slide deck, so that way you can go back and then you'll be able to kind of, hopefully refresh your memory so you don't feel like, I mean, I know that we have a lot of note takers, but people like myself, I'm not a huge note taker, but I do like to be like all in and then go back to it and then be able to kind of refresh my memory so I can kind of start implementing some of that stuff. And then the giveaway that we're given is if you uh, DM the word slides or the freebie that we're going to get at the end. Um, Matt and I are going to be given a content strategy call to one person each, so technically two people. So that automatically gets you in, and then if you're the one picked, you will get a call, text, DM from Matt or I, and then we can go from there. So again, I know that a lot of the people on this call maybe don't know you, Matt. So do you want to go ahead and kick us
Yeah.
off with just introducing yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks so much, first and foremost, William. Thanks for inviting me to be a part of this. William and I have been like kind of starting to collaborate on some like different forms of content in the new year. We both kind of looked to the right and to the left, realized that actually I looked to the right and to the left. I was like, we're running a media company, and this guy over here who's in a very parallel industry, his ideal candidate or client is a real estate agent. My ideal client or candidate is a real estate agent as well. And how could we kind of co-collaborate? And that's how this whole thing kind of came about. So today I'm going to just try to put my teaching hat on the best I possibly can. I know you may have questions. We'll have time for questions, hopefully at the end. William did say if it does go a little bit longer, if you do need to jump out at 12:45, you're more than welcome to do that. If you want to drop any messages in the chat, as well, I think, William, those should all be turned on. But without further ado, I'm going to kind of kick off. We're going to be talking today about how to build a brand that gets you noticed. Okay. Each and every one of us on this call, you either work for an organization or you are the head of the organization. And branding is an integral part of how people act and feel and interact with your business or your product. So before we get into it too far, you're probably like, who the heck is this guy? Some of you may know me, some of you may not. My name is Matt Giso. I own and operate a company in Tulsa, located here in Tulsa, called Vast Media. My wife is our CEO. Jenna is a core strategist of ours as well. So we get to uniquely run a team of 14 here in the Tulsa area, providing media services for mostly real estate agents, small businesses, bigger businesses, commercial production, and things like that. So I launched Vast Media back in 2018 as a hobby. Just thought if I could make some like MTV Cribs looking house tours that maybe people in Tulsa would start to want to buy them. And that quickly became like the norm now. I feel like as we're looking into it, if you don't have video, back then it was if you didn't have good photos. Now that's kind of a non-negotiable. But Launched Vast in 2018, and we've scaled to a team of 14 here now. We are still in one location, looking to expand when the time is right. But I'm kind of a perfectionist, and I feel like there's always things we can do better. So we've scaled to just over 5 million in revenue in the last 7 years, which is a mind-blowing thing to me. It's not about numbers. It's more so, this was something that I feel like was birthed on the inside of me. Hey, maybe I could do this. I didn't go to film school. So all of this teaching and instruction you're getting is real life application that someone who might not have been the most qualified in the beginning has kind of tried to figure it out a little bit along the way. Currently with Vast right now, I'm removed from the day-to-day. So I am very much still involved with our management team and certain shoots that I'll be going on here and there. But I really, as far as our bread and butter and our operations and our quality control, all of that, we have team members in place that help run that effectively, so there's no roadblocks to an owner. And then I also just started coaching other agency owners around the country with a program called Acre Partner. Agency owners like myself who are hit at a glass ceiling, they can't get above a certain amount of revenue, or maybe their systems are messed up, or maybe their team culture is all messed up. We get to coach one-on-one. Jenna's actually an Acre coach as well. So it's an incredible organization that I get to rub shoulders with other people that might be even doing it better than me in Tulsa. So that's a little bit about me. I talked, Will did ask me to bring a gift with me today. So I was like, man, what's just like, if no one listened to anything I said, what's a freebie, what's a pearl on the ground that someone could just pick up, apply right away, and feel like your quality just leveled up big. So that's what I'm going to give away. I'm going to give away a PDF document that is 135 content ideas for real estate agents. So these can be applied to other areas, but they're actually tailored. The ideas and the thoughts are tailored toward real estate agents getting on camera and getting your content noticed. So stick around till the end, and you'll have all the instructions how you can get that right away and start using it.
We'll give him, we'll give him the word to send us on there. And then also, really quick, I did ask Matt, what's another, I feel like we're Matt's adding a lot of value today just by teaching what he's going to be teaching today. But I'm constantly, especially the people that are join the call live, I'm like, what can we give these people so that way you can truly look back and say, man, those 45 minutes I was there were well worth my time. So I was like, what's another freebie that you could do? And then he was gracious enough to give us this discount. The other thing I wanted to say real quick is throughout the call, if you have any questions, drop them in the Q&A so we have those at the end, and then we will give that word that you need to DM us, and it will be on Instagram. That QR code will send it to you, but if you're already friends with us on Facebook or other platforms, feel free to send it to us there as well. Yeah, Matt, thanks so much for being able to hook us up with this deal right here.
Yeah, for sure. And then this presentation is definitely not about Vast. It is, where I came from and where I've positioned myself in the market as an agency owner. But Vast Media, the name of our company here, I just wanted to give a quick shameless plug for if you are a realtor out there and you're either looking to elevate your brand, or B, you feel like you don't really have much of a brand, and or you want to rebrand in this new year, we'd love to come alongside and help not just take your listing photos, but actually strategize, like William said, and really figure out, what do you want? Obviously, everyone wants more clients. They want more business. Maybe you want more quality candidates. Content strategies can look different for different things. So sometimes when we just make content and hope people to indirectly buy from us, it's not always the greatest situation. So if you've never used Vast before, there's a coupon code on there, VAST20. If you go to our website and you're booking any service, you can get $20 off your first booking. Please let us know if you found us from this webinar. It helps us know that it helps me know and our staff know that people are hungry to learn and grow their branding anyway. And that's kind of how they found us, not from a random Google search. So, but we are a full-scale media production company, everything from photos to video to we can help get your website redesigned. We can help manage your social media ads. We can help just about any project you might have in mind. We have a team of 14, like I had said, that's ready to help you think about that. So today we are talking about branding. And I think before we really just drive home the practical on what does that look like for a real estate agent? What does that look like for a mortgage broker? What does that look like for someone who wants to stand out in whatever your industry is? We have to define what a brand is, right? And I think this first definition of what a brand is, most of us could probably relate to. A type of product manufactured by a particular company under a particular name. Sounds pretty simple, sounds pretty boring to me. You kind of got to dig a little bit more. What does the real root of the word brand or branded or to be branded mean? And it was really, I mean, it's related to us in Oklahoma, right? We have a lot of cattle, we have a lot of livestock, and the identifying mark burned on livestock or with a branding iron. You think about it, it sounds so cruel and inhumane, but if that cattle were to roam around, it could always be identified by the mark that's on it. I want you to think about that in terms of your business, okay? Is your business so crystal clear? Is your voice and your tone so crystal clear that it's like a branding? It's not just a logo. It's not just colors. It's not just font. It's a feel. It's a tone. It's the type of content you put out. It's the attention to detail. So I want, as we're working through today, I want us all to think about the physical mark of a branding. Maybe it's a tattoo. Maybe it's, whatever it is, but that's an identifying feature of whatever that is, right? So as we kind of go into that, I think it's important to know what the working definition of a brand is. So I think so many of us can relate first and foremost by seeing some of the brands that maybe we see right here on the screen. Okay. All three of these brands have touched every single person on this call, whether you've owned it or seen a commercial or touched it or wanted it or whatever it is, right? Apple. What do all three, Apple, Nike, and Mercedes, have in common? They all have strong characteristics. And some of us might be like, yeah, they're the giants. Right. I wanted to relate this from something that was so big, but you got to know that Apple started in a garage too. It started as a brand. It started as a brand that had an identity that started to evolve. And even though the market would change, it stayed true to what it was. Top brands that we know and love, just like Apple, major tech company. We all know them from iPads, iPhones. They literally changed how we all accessed information. Now I know I have some Android users on the call too, and we love you too. But I'm like, I've eaten the fruit. I've eaten the fruit since like the iPhone 3. Okay, so all of my devices. Why? Because it makes life simpler. I've tried other products and sometimes they can come in and be a little wonky. When you have proven concept and you have brand identity, you don't think twice. I might get mad that Apple raises their prices, but guess who still pays for it, right? That's why branding is so powerful, because at the end of the day, you're still solving the problem for the individual client. Nike, obviously leading sportswear company, makes athletic shoes, clothing. But when you put on Nike, you're putting on their slogan to just go do it. Just do it. Like, don't make excuses, just like the commercial. You see someone lacing up their shoes, they're going for a hard workout. Gatorade, the same thing. They're selling a tone. It's not just the name, the logo, the brand, right? They're selling an experience. Who else is selling an experience? If anyone on this call owns a Mercedes, or if you've ever rode in one. When I used to sell cars, I worked for the cheaper German auto manufacturer. I worked for Volkswagen, but we would get Mercedes in on trades. And I'll tell you, every time I could refer people over to Jackie Cooper, or I could refer people, it was because I physically had an experience with some of those cars. Now, it might not be the right car for the right situation for every situation, but nonetheless, the brand of Mercedes carries luxury with it. It carries forward thinking and technology. You don't have to think Mercedes looks so nice and they're so fast, but man, they're just behind on their tech. Like, I got a Mercedes the other day. It didn't even have Apple CarPlay. That's not the case, right? We're always pushing the bounds of creativity. So these three brands have those strong characteristics, right? But it can go a step farther, because those characteristics that they all have something in common with these three areas. And the first one is consistency, right? Apple is probably the leader of consistency, in my opinion, when it comes to design and how things work. I promise you, even the new software updates that come out, they always get them fixed very quickly. Like, I mean, very quickly. And it's incredible because for the most part, since the iPhone 3, all my devices, they've just worked. If they haven't worked, it's because I broke them, right? But I've had other products that they just didn't work when I needed them to. It was a roadblock. So think about that for you as you're leading people is when someone buys or sells a home with you, is it a consistent process every single time, or is it like, oh my gosh, I'm every situation's different, but do you have standard operating procedures that you always follow that make it a smooth process, not just for you doing the work or processing the paperwork or the negotiations, but the end user? What does the homeowner feel? How are they left to feel after they've interacted with? This is all goes into branding, consistency, your message, your values, your visual identity. How do you dress? Like, I'm not saying it's all about vain and vanity, but how are you carrying yourself to make other people feel about when they interact with you or your brand or your product? Authenticity is the second one. Staying authentic to actually who you are, your core values, your mission, being genuinely transparent when maybe you've blown it, right? Protecting your brand is so much. Do you know? I mean, there's probably people on this call that I've had to make a personal phone call to because someone on our team messed something up and had to protect the brand, right? That's not the standard. We're all human, but you try to train in a way where you duplicate at a level of excellence. And if not, you're continuing to work on that training until you can get that. So consistency, being authentic. And number three is probably why everyone joined the call. And it's mostly what we're going to focus on is differentiation. What makes you different? What makes you different? What makes you stand out in a crowd? What makes me watch your piece of content instead of somebody else's? Is it that it's visually pleasing? Is it because the hook is really good? Is it because I'll watch a video even if it looks terrible, but the content is really good? But I'll also watch a video that looks really good, but the content's terrible. I'll swipe off it right away. It catches my visual eye, but it doesn't keep my attention. So content is everything. What differentiates you? It's simple. Your unique selling proposition. What makes you unique? Now, before you sit there and say, I don't really know what makes me different. I'm in a sea of, I think William, did you have any like stats on how many agents, or you were talking to me yesterday when we were talking about this, about how many
Yeah,
different
so
agents
I
are.
think that a lot of people are seeing this, right? And then maybe some of them have kind of heard it before, but it's just hard to really think how do I truly like become unique in my world. I mean, you had over 7,000 agents in the MLS last year in the Tulsa area. I know we have people from outside of the Tulsa area in this call, but I mean, that's a lot of people for
Yeah.
the size of our metro area. This year it's gone to a little bit over 5,000. That's still a lot of agents. So I think that that's where a lot of, and actually what I think it's funny, just talking about our area. Most agents say that they don't want to do this because everybody is already doing it. But if
It's a
you really
flooded
look
market. Yeah.
around, I mean, tell me what other lender in town is doing what I'm doing, Matt?
That's what I mean. It's not to like, raise you up, William, but you were doing something right. You caught my attention. I was like, we interact with a lot of, mortgage brokerages as a whole, but then the individual agents, and some agents go harder than others, and some agents make content that's consistent, but it's just funny. It's like low quality, but funny, and those are great too. But yours was like, I was drawn to you because you aligned with a multitude of other things. You like cycling. I just got into cycling. You do cold plunges. I thought that was crazy, and I'm doing cold. So there was like other content, not even from your posted content, but from your stories.
Yeah.
And that's not even a part of this presentation. That's something Will's encouraged me. He said, do you know how much interaction I've gotten and leads I've gotten from people that just start out of an organic like conversation through DMs? And I'm like, yeah, you didn't reach out trying to sell them anything, right? No, they were commenting on a video of like my son and it was funny or whatever. And I've tried to understand the fact that, like, in a world where it can seem like it's getting so technology driven and AI is a pretty big front runner in a lot of things and how things are categorized and summarized, you're lacking the human connection. you're lacking the unique selling proposition. You're lacking the very thing that might make you better than somebody else simply by the fact of, the local schools better. You used to be a superintendent. Your kids have grown up here. You understand different demographics and how people do things. Not everyone understands what you understand. And I have to realize that every day. Content is content. Most people just want to know what's inside your head and judge whether like that's how it aligns with their values, right? Well, creating a brand is just intentionally doing that, intentionally creating the narrative over and over again. But how would how would a realtor or a real estate agent or a broker or anyone create a unique selling proposition? Like what actually does make you different? Well, it's creating a story around your brand. It's creating a story and an identity around that. Crafting your unique brand identity is something that if you think about the definition of identity and how you are identified, you're not only identified by the color of your skin, you're not only identified by male, female, you're not only identified by that, you're identified by like the tone of your voice. Are you a tall person? Do you strike fear into people, or do people like all of that carries with it the brand? And it makes people either A, not think twice about using you, or maybe there was a tough situation. I get it. Being a business owner, trust me, you try to please everyone exactly the same, but ultimately there's going to be different struggles and different hurdles along the way. But crafting your unique brand identity is crucial in making sure that you stand out. And how is that? Like how does it actually make you stand out? Well, oh, sorry guys, moving my screen around here. I'm getting back to my other screen here. But it doesn't really matter like how good you are right out the gate. It matters how clear your vision is. So if you can identify your unique selling proposition, what makes you special? Like I had said, is it knowledge of local schools? Is it you specialize in luxury? Is it you specialize in new construction? Is it you specialize in first-time home buyers? I guarantee you a lot of the stories that you hear verbally from them could be put on video, could be marketed as your brand, that you are the positioned realtor who always helps make a great story. Every home has a story, and we say that, and it's almost cliche, like you can go to Hobby Lobby and get it on a wall plaque, but it's true. Like people want to engage with the actual like testimonies. I worked with so and so, and it was so easy. Here's why. It could even be things that everyone's doing, but not everyone's show and telling exactly what they're doing. That's so important. It's so important in your brand. So find something that you have a passionate voice about and build there. Start there as your niche, if you will. You don't always have to be known as the luxury person. You don't always have to be known as the first-time home buyer. It could be even in seasons as campaigns that's continuing to just reinforce who you are and what you can do. We still, Jenna's on this call right now, but we still have people that reach out to Vast today, 7 years in, and they saw our listing photos and they say, can you do video? Do you guys know how to do video? And I'm like, you obviously haven't been to our website, right? Like it's front and center, shows exactly what we do. But you're right. If I don't make content and say, we do video, we would like to do your video. Sometimes it's like people hear something 100 times. They just have to hear it one more time. And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Because ultimately you want people to not only know what you do, know how you do it, and you want people to tell other people about it. Hey, when you buy or sell your home, you have to use so-and-so. And they always use William or whoever it is, right? That process is so smooth. And I know you don't really care as the home seller as much. You don't care until you care, until something's wrong and it's those final hours and closing starts to feel really stressful. That's when you care. Someone who carries themselves with a great brand knows that not only they're going to make it right, or they have the back end to make it right. They have someone that's backing them, a bigger broker, whatever that is. So finding that unique proposition and nailing on it. So maybe that's the biggest takeaway from today's call is I got to figure out what that is. I'm just another one of 7,000 or 3,000 in this area. What am I waiting for people to feed me? Am I working my network circles? But ultimately, if I'm not, am I just building up my brand so that more people come to me as I'm still reaching out to people? Second one is you got to create brand elements. Now, this can be, you can use some free tools that we'll talk about here at the end to create those brand elements, or you can reach out to like a company like Vast, or even find someone on Fiverr and give them your vision. I want my name of my company to be this, this, this. Make sure you check all the availability for websites, LLCs, all that stuff before you go through the process. But you can give anyone, any creative team, colors that you like. You can find color palettes and say, okay, these are going to be my brand colors. This, my logo needs to be, for me, I was like, I knew we wanted to be a production company, and I knew we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves with only real estate, because I knew if you could use a camera to tell a story, you could do that for a business or a realtor or a lawyer or anyone. So I was like, Jenna actually came up with the name. I was like, I want a 4-letter name, and it's got to be, something that people can remember really easy. And I don't know why I see like mountain peaks. We're not like a backpacking company, but I really liked influence from like Patagonia and Arc'teryx and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I kind of like wearing those clothes. That would be cool to have a logo on something like that. And we just made mountain peaks, and it has evolved over the years. It used to just be solid 2 peaks, and that was it. Why? Signifying that we do a vast array of services. We're an all-in-one solution. If you want to come to us even with an idea that's not on our menu, we have a team that's available to listen, digest, spit back out some creative strategy for you. But creating those brand elements is so vitally important, because you're going to try to create new stuff, and you're always going to like forget exactly what that pink code was for the yellow that you were trying to use. And then like your branding starts to over time look different, and people notice that. You would notice if Nike looks so different the next day. Sometimes they come out with products that are like different lines, and it's really eye-catching, but then they get back in line with, there's always brand elements that still ring true with everything they do. And the last part here is create a brand voice. I talked about it. Like, when your brand speaks, how does it sound? When your brand speaks, does it sound angry? Does it sound rushed? Does it sound frustrated? Does it sound confident? Does it sound like you are a professional consultant at the highest level, and no one's going to get this job done like I am? That's what makes you different. Not everyone talks like that. So getting that mindset, this isn't a call really about mindset, but understanding in your mind and letting that keep you anchored and rooted no matter what comes out, no matter what realtor next copies your creative idea, and maybe it looks even better than yours did, and you're like, what the heck, I had that idea first, right? It's constantly thinking about, how does your brand sound? When it talks, how does it sound? And I know that's a metaphorical thing, but crafting a consistent tone and style of communication and marketing materials when your social posts go out, those have to reflect your personality and connect with potential clients. Like, they have to actually be thought out. This is my ideal client. So my ideal client on their Instagram, they're probably filled up with pages filled with, I mean, you have to think, like, you have to kind of be problematic a little bit, and you can create different forms of content. And I promise you're going to hit a gusher where all of a sudden you create a specific type of thing, and it's very well received. And all of a sudden you're going to look at the insights on the post, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is blowing up. And these aren't even my followers. This is like 93% like unfollowers are engaging with this post. That means Instagram really likes it. And I hate Instagram just like everyone else. I'm just going to be honest. The algorithm can feel like a hamster wheel, like you're constantly putting money in a slot machine and seeing if this is going to work. But the reality is our attention spans have changed. And that's why the strategy has changed on some of this stuff. But it's not to be overwhelmed. At the end of the day, people want to resonate with your story, what makes you unique. Is it just your confidence? Is it just that like you can get it done and you're confident? I always say yes to things, and I'm like, that's a good problem to have. If I get myself up a creek without a paddle, I guess I'm going to learn how to swim, right? And then I'm going to learn next time not to get in that position. But what is it? So much of it permeates back to your mindset, because how you think is how you talk, and how you talk, that is the tone that kind of radiates. So, Will,
And
I'm sorry, I'm stealing all the thunder. You got
no, you're
anything?
good, dude. This is so good. I wanted to kind of, with what you said in this slide by itself, is that one of the things in my first couple of years of the business, I remember jumping on Facebook or Instagram and then seeing somebody that I knew from like high school or college or whatever, and boom, they just closed on their home. And I used to get so mad because I used to be like, what the heck? I thought this person was my friend. Like
Yeah.
how are
I
they
mean,
using
maybe.
somebody
Right.
else? And then when I stopped doing that is whenever I started pointing the finger back at me
Yeah.
because one, I mean, yesterday was my birthday. If there's no if there's people that text me happy birthday, I promise you I'm still trying to catch up to them. But yesterday was my birthday. I just turned 31. So Matt, how many people do you think still like how many people that I went to high school with do you think I'm still like talking to on a day-to-day basis like 12 years later or whatever it's been? Probably not very many.
Probably
So
not very
it
many, but I bet you got a lot of happy birthdays. The auto reply. No, I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
So
I'm
they'll be
like, I
very
haven't heard from
genuine.
you
They'll
in
be
6 years. Thanks for wishing me a happy birthday, man. Like,
so
this is a
so
larger conversation.
so what I'm saying though is that it's my job to let people know, especially people that are not necessarily longer part of like my inner circle, know what
Hmm.
I do. And
Right.
even if you do put that money in that slot machine and get 100 views. I was talking with a group of agents a couple weeks ago and telling them that 100 people is a lot of people, and maybe that video they only got 100 views, maybe one or two people that really needed to see that to remind, whoa, I like in your case,
Right.
like, oh wow, I had no idea that Matt did video. I was actually about to go, with this other
Right.
company, even though I use him for my listings
Yeah.
pictures. So it's our responsibility to be able to communicate to people what we do and how we can serve them. And again, like you were saying, like 99% of most posts that do really well or even the ones that don't do well is people that don't know you. So you doing this is getting you into rooms that you'll never be in, but your name is
Right.
going to be in front of these people and they're going to know who you are and what you do.
Yep.
So one thing that I wanted you to talk about was a big thing of people ask me like how have you been doing this now for 3 years and like how have you been able to do what you've been doing on the mortgage side of things even with the crazy markets that we've had. And I love telling people that it doesn't matter how hard you work, it doesn't matter how tall you are, how good looking you are, it matters how adaptable you are. And that's one of
So
the
true.
things that I wanted you to talk about because you have to be able to adapt in this environment if you want to have
Yeah.
any success in social media or personal branding.
Oh, totally. Being adaptable, being flexible, learning something new, and then not just knowing about it, but applying it is huge. I mean, that's how you become different. Like we were talking about how to differentiate yourself, right? The next part is embracing innovation. And before you're like, I am not techie, just listen because tech is kind of here to stay. It's always been, but it's very, very prevalent in 2025. If I were giving this presentation back in 2018 when I launched VAST, like some of my early day presentations, we weren't talking about anything AI. We were not. We were like, use us because we know how to use a camera and everyone else uses an iPhone. And that's why, right? We've grown to so much more value in terms of why would you use this type of media and actually having a consultant mindset. But it took a lot because every time we would figure something out, tech would change. And if we weren't adaptable and we didn't know how to embrace innovation, we were going to get left behind. What does that look like for a real estate agent? It's not just getting photos done on your house, right? It's not just getting good photos or professional. It's embracing innovation in different ways. To stay ahead of the curve, you need to be innovating not just with your tech, but with smarter systems that make a better customer experience. Remember what I said, when people taste your brand or they experience your brand or they hear your brand's voice, what does it sound like? What does it feel like? How does it taste? All of those things. If they're like, this person seems like they're just not ahead of the curve, or there's nothing that would make them engage with anything that's on your social. It's just like stock images with like keys that say like turning, like, closing on your dream home. We've all done it, right? Like it's not a knock. It's just those types of things, not having those, but having something else would be so much more beneficial. And a lot of times it's just a pivot. It's okay, I'm always going to get photos, but I also need to do this. If you're a listing agent, this stuff's really important. If you're a buyer's agent, some of this other stuff in terms of the personal branding, I think is something that could be pushed even further. But how do you innovate? It's not just photos, it's video. It's not only just video of the home, but video of yourself or video of your team. Or how are you trying to reinforce the foundation so that it's not just you, but also understanding that if it's you that makes you unique, you got to be a part of it. And whether you like to get on camera or not, people want to see that human side. It's exactly why people go to people's websites and they always go to the about me if it's like a business you're interested in. Why? You want to know who's running it, where they went to school, what's a little bit about their story. So you have a little bit of a better understanding. Your brand is no different. Video helps do that on a better way because look at us. We're all not in the same room, but we're all able to glean the exact same content right now. That's the power of video. Video could go to the ends of the earth, like someone from China could be on this call. And that's crazy because that wasn't necessarily the norm or the strategy or the technique even 5 years ago. But virtual reality, doing scans, some people love to do them, some people hate to do them. But I did poll the people that usually do scans with us at VAS, and they would say that 40, I think they said like 42% of the people of homes that we did scans on, the buyers that were brought in were completely from out of state. Now, that makes sense, right? But what people don't know about virtual reality is it's not just a scan image. On certain scans, you can measure above the mantelpiece to see if your big screen TV is going to fit. And I live in Dallas, but I'm looking to buy a house in Tulsa. That matters, right? So what are you doing that's catching people's engagement? Is it, yeah, I want to do a scan, but I want you guys to actually incorporate that into my video so that it looks different. That'd be a strategy, right? Don't see a ton of people doing that. That's something that I guarantee we're going to get a request for at VAST right after this. But it's mixing different forms of media. AI-driven tools, which we're going to touch on here in a second, but this is probably the biggest innovation, not just in the real estate industry, in our lives, period. AI-driven tools can do so much for you, not just make your life easier, but duplicate yourself, personalizing experiences for your clients where you don't have to wonder if it's being done exactly the same way you know it's done and you've thought through that. Those are streamlining your systems as well. So some of those tools that I talked about, free tools, these are all freebies. Okay. They have probably paid versions for all of them, but these are all free. If you want today to say, I am going to make a decision, I'm going to either switch my brand up, do a refresh, just play around with some ideas, go to canva.com and start playing around with templates. You can type at the top of Canva, I'm looking for a presentation. This presentation I put together that you guys are watching, that was all on Canva. I was able to use different tools, even ChatGPT, to help organize my ideas and put it in a cohesive presentation. Human, I had to physically manually plug things in, but everything from, social media graphics, you're like, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not either. Jenna, my wife, is our CEO, and our newest clothing line, our merch that just came out. We've had multiple requests from people that are like, how can I buy this? This is awesome. We just make merch each year for our team just because we like wearing and staying branded when we go to the grocery store and for appointments and all the things. Jenna created all those on Canva. Jenna's not a graphic designer. We have other people around the country that are like, can you design mine like that? That's how a business starts, guys. Canva is a free tool. It's basically Photoshop, all of that merged into one. Super easy. It's kind of click and drag. Don't feel bad if you don't like master it within like 2 minutes, but it's kind of idiot proof, I call it. It's graphic design made easy, seamlessly design presentations, create that logo. You can go in and say, I want to create branding. They'll give you things that pair well together, and then you can pick your colors. Bada boom, you just saved yourself $500 to $1,000 with a marketing agency. If you can kind of spit out what you creatively want your brand to look. What is it? What is it? What's the story it's telling? Why is it unique, right? So Canva's for a lot of creation of what you'll see digitally, print, and so forth. Canva's incredible. Meta is just, a lot of you guys may not realize that you can schedule out your social media posts. So if you do find that you have a lot of content, you sit down, maybe it's 1 day a week, and for 2 hours, you're actually like carving out time blocking. I'm going to work on my brand, and I'm going to work on it till a level that I can't work on. And if I'm frustrated, I'm going to get some help on working on it, because this is important. And this is what's going to drive more eyes on my business, more eyes towards ultimately the service that I can provide. So Meta is just built in. It's built in with Facebook, Instagram, scheduling out your posts so that you can have it on autopilot. You can pay a company like VAST to manage your social media. We do that for quite a few businesses, mainly because we're already the ones creating the content for them. And if we can listen to their vision and how they want their channel to sound, we can just kind of come alongside and create things that are already running on autopilot. So when those big ticket things happen, like a surprise closing or whatever it is, those can also be posted on your social. So it just drives up more engagement. Okay.
And on
And yeah,
on this last one, Matt, yesterday I told you I had a Zoom call with somebody that did not know what ChatGPT was. So
yes,
out of everybody that's on this call, if I had to guess, I would think that like everybody knows what it is. But when you assume,
probably not.
yeah. So if you guys get anything out of this call, make sure that you get a ChatGPT account and go ahead and tell us what you use it for.
So chat GPT is this third and final logo. I gave you the logos just so you have reference point if you're going on the computer and you're searching for these. They all have apps for your phone, and then they all have desktop experiences as well. So I like to sit at my desk quite a bit, but I also like to know if I'm designing something in Canva and I have to go pick up my daughter from school and I'm going to be in that pickup line for like all my parents know what I'm talking about. I might be able to pull up Canva and actually finish a couple things because it's all cloud based. So if you upload files there, they're going to show up on your phone. Same thing with Meta and Chat GPT. So Chat GPT is the secret weapon. It's not so much of a secret anymore, and it's gotten smarter and smarter. And what do I mean by it? AI, if you are not like, if you haven't been paying attention lately, let me let you in. AI is very much ingrained in so many different things now that you might not even realize. Things just work, summaries just come, programs that you use have different AI widgets that now are starting to just tell you things and digest information. William is an avid Chat GPT user, and so am I, especially after this last year. I watched my wife does a lot of business consulting as well. And I watched her coach a lot of different people. And I was like, man, I don't have any idea how you keep everything together and how you actually like, if you've already given someone an answer, how do you expound upon it? And how do you get smarter, basically, right? Starting to ask and give information about what you're trying to do. I am trying to create an ad that would, 5x my, visibility on my Instagram. My Instagram account is this. I actually even like give it information. My potential client that I would like to reach is this. Now write me some kind of a 30-second talking head ad with a great hook that's going to engage people to visit my website or book a showing or whatever it is. Maybe it's for a specific house. Watch ChatGPT just tell you exactly what to do. Oh, that's awesome. Can you say it a little nicer or a little more bubbly? Um,
Can
like
you say it
whatever
to
your
where a
person is.
7-year-old will understand?
I make mine. Can you rewrite this at a seventh grade reading level? Okay,
So
can you be a little bit more assertive? Okay, can you add a little bit more like you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, you watch it. And I'm
yeah.
telling you this because you're gonna notice to the right and to the left agents that are like all of a sudden it looks like they hired a marketing director. They're probably using AI and they're probably leveraging it correctly. So much so that I know when Jenna uses it correctly, and I know when I use it correctly, and Will uses it correctly, it would probably be about a $50,000 a year employee. I would pay a salary to an assistant who is that smart and who can keep things together. Now the key is how do you use it? How do you actually what are the right prompts and things like that? And we're not going to get into all of the prompts today, but I want you guys to play around because it's so easy. Think of it as a smarter version of Siri that can then do things. If you had a phone call that you had with a homeowner and somehow, you use any phone programs like Open Phone or anything like that, where it might transcribe messages or you have a recorder, you can take that transcription, copy, paste, say, summarize this and make a response for this client or whatever it is. Help me make marketing materials for this next house. Help give me 135 best hook ideas for real estate. Okay, but I specialize in luxury. Can you make it custom to that? It just remembers your next prompt and you can be like, cool, that's what I like. And then I'm gonna give it my flair. And now you are prepared. And you're like, I couldn't pay someone enough money on my
No.
team to get it
Yeah.
correct. And you're like, well, is it always correct? It's pulling from more sources than you could ever think about at the exact moment and spitting it out in real time. Probably what we all dreamed computers would be like back in the 80s when they were like just old school CRT
Yeah.
TVs that like it spit out information. You're like, yeah, but what does that mean? Now it like talks to you like a human. It's artificial intelligence, it's AI. But ChatGPT is a secret weapon when it comes to duplicating your thoughts. Duplicating your thoughts. I use it for script writing. I use it for storyboarding. I use it to give it a boring idea and tell it to make it a little bit better. So there's so many different uses. What are some things you use it for, William?
I mean, I use it for quite a bit of things, from anywhere between taught it to pretend like it, no, not pretend, but pretty much pretend like it's uh, a, a pediatrician, and I ask it questions about my son.
Oh
I
yeah,
go
you told me
back
that.
and yeah, go back and ask questions on uh, just as I'm reading through like a Bible plan, and have questions for it. Like I'm like, you're a
Totally.
historian. Like I use it for absolutely everything. And so yes, if you got anything out of this, ChatGPT. We're at 12:45, so the last thing
Yep.
that I wanted to ask you, that I get asked a lot, and I figured that this would be good to be answered by you. How important is quality? Because I feel like a lot of times people just look at my stuff and they're like, well, yeah, of course, your stuff looks so nice or whatever, but I honestly, you know, I wanted you to talk about that because I mean that kind of goes within how you want to be presented, right? So
Totally.
talk to me a
Totally.
little about that.
Yeah. So, and that last point, like William said, I was going to go into was investing in quality media. And that's kind of where what we do at Vast comes in. This is where we've positioned ourselves as a business that not only as a production company, we can hit all of those check boxes that you're ideally looking for and that you ideally need. Do you need every service that we offer? Of course not. But do we want you to go look elsewhere to get a one-off a la carte service when we could have taken care of the whole package for you and somehow implemented that into something else that makes you unique? That's must-have media in this day and age, especially for real estate agents, is all of these on the following. Pro listing photography is a non-negotiable. It used to be like what set people apart. It's not anymore. It's how are you using those photos? Are you using those photos zooming in on the best part, cropped in, and using Canva to create a dynamic looking graphic where when people swipe on Instagram, it's like you as a cutout and it's like that cool photo. Oh, I never thought about doing that, right? We can take our house photos that look beautiful and still repurpose. I call it milking content. Cinematic tours, actually showing the house as if it's a movie trailer. What feeling does that give? Because people want to buy a car, they want to buy a home, they want to have a life-changing purchase when they have feelings about it. They have to feel, know, like, and feel. They have to know, like, and feel you to trust you to lead them through that process. So, must have media as well is branded lifestyle content. That could be everything from you having a photographer meet you at a coffee shop because you want to get some new headshots and you want to pull your laptop open. And this is just going to be, we're going to take 14 to 20 photos in a couple different spots. That way you have a wide range of standing, sitting, smiling, serious, on the phone, on the computer. So then that's not it. Like then use those pieces of media to then go into Canva or have a company like Vast like create marketing assets for you. I promise you that's what's going to help make you stand out where it's not like, oh, everyone uses that same Canva doc. We might use a Canva template, but then we might customize it based on what's the tone and the style that your brand is wanting to give off. Sometimes we never even hear or people never really tell us and we just try to create our own thumbprint of what we think Vass would think would look good, but ultimately we want that input from the client as well. And then short form content's the last part. If you're good at teaching or educating, anything that is worth doing correctly. And if to do it correctly, you have to learn and have some knowledge behind it. Before I ever picked up a video camera or a camera or knew how to even use this, I had to go on YouTube. I didn't go to film school. I didn't have the luxury of learning about it when I was younger. I was almost 30 by the time I picked up a camera. So you can learn anything, especially in 2025. And if you don't think so, just ask ChatGPT. So
I think
and I'm a,
ChatGPT put that mustache on you,
yeah,
right?
I think it did. It
That
probably did. Yeah.
photoshopped.
Yeah. Photoshop mustache. There you go. Content is fire. Social media is gasoline. Maybe some of you guys have heard this quote before. Jay Bear, he's like a 7-time millionaire. He's sold like 7 different businesses, and he wrote a really awesome blog, or yeah, it was a blog online just about content, about the very essence of content. When he said content is fire, social media is gasoline, I thought about that, because fire is very the fire is very the potential for fire is incredible, right? One spark could set an entire forest on fire if the fuel in front of it is correct, right? But a candle I light here could not visibly be seen in Jinx, but if I threw gasoline on it and it got big enough, it would be seen all the way in like China or from space. If you understand what I'm saying, is having content is so good, but crafting it the right way and throwing the right gasoline on it and knowing when you've hit a right strategy, those are the ones. Put some ad money into that. Actually, let's create some ads. We're not creating social media posts that then we're going to go boost. We're setting out to film content because this is going to have money behind it, and it's going to be a lead generator for you and for your business. So content is fire. Social media is gasoline. We are at the time and we are already 5 minutes over. So I wanted to make sure anyone who's still here, they make sure we can get that freebie that we talked about at the beginning of the call. But if you bust out your phone right now and scan the screen, you'll be taken to Vast Media's Instagram account, and you can send a DM with the word content. And then within probably an hour, I would say all of those DMs should be responded to, and we'll get you guys some actual hands-on scripts that you can practice in front, or you can have Vast come out and film you shoot someone. So
And that hour is just on the ones that you send him. On mine, I don't know if I can promise an hour. And
yeah,
again, I should be using, I don't know if you've heard of ManyChat, but it's
yeah, I've
like
heard of it.
AI to I need to get that set up. But long story short, thank you so much again for coming, Matt. Thank you so much for everybody that joined us. Looks like we only had a couple of questions. I already
Okay.
answered one as far as making sure that it was on Instagram, or wherever you message us wherever those words, and we'll get that over to you. And then we had somebody ask that one of their main objectives is to garner the attention of agents in order to be referred by their clients. This is an inspector. How do I best showcase my service as a valued ad to agents through social media? How do I get the top agents' attention? Um, do you have any words of wisdom there?
Yeah. So I mean, it's very similar. How do you get people's attention? Well, one, making sure that your content is, always make sure that your content, your profile, your image, your voice, your tone looks ready for like 500,000 people to hit your account. They're not going to, but I'm like, it's kind of that mindset of always being ready. And if it's not something you like, if your grid doesn't look good, people are ultimately going to investigate you if you're attached to somebody as a collaborator. Maybe that means one of the main agents that you're close with, like similar to what I'm doing with William. We're trying to collaborate and cross-pollinate, because the people that I engage with and the people that Will engage with are actually the same. But a lot of people that work with Will don't even know who I am, and I don't even know some of the agents that work with Will. So in essence, kind of aligning yourself, but showcasing your services, no doubt. I mean, we've done Steve and I remember meeting you too at that open house, but inspection services, creating content. Like I know your account, you kind of talk through some of the content as well. Maybe creating voiceover dynamic, almost like a commercial, but you still have the words on the screen. Maybe it's your voice, maybe it's somebody else's, but crafting using ChatGPT to kind of craft a dynamic 30-second talking head ad. And then, yeah, it's just mixing it with B-roll is like the game changer. But I've also realized that, like, if you have the right content, your B-roll clip that you use over the top, especially with short form content, can be iPhone, can be like raw and
Yeah,
real, right?
Matt.
But if the project is high quality, that's noticed. It's noticed that
Yeah.
you pulled in B-roll clips to tell the story better. But if the whole thing is kind of janky and done, I don't think it's going to garner the attention. So hopefully that There's a few practicals I would say align with somebody else as well. Two minds are better than one. So if you're growing brands together and say it's an agent that always uses you for their inspections and like create like a trifecta, like the inspector, the realtor, the mortgage lender, like create content together, create content separately, like promote what makes you unique. Why is it unique? Well, because every time I sell a house, they all go to William. You're free to use your own lender for sure. But I would just say that our proven and tried and true method is that William will get it done and he's always going to under promise, over deliver. And right now we're hitting on a great deadline. Like clients just want to know that it's all taken care of. So is
Yeah.
it? Have you aligned with the correct people? And you know, your brand's going to continue to grow with it. So
Yes. And somebody put on there that the QR code is covered by the talking box. So I think that might be on there, and or maybe you can go back to
oh,
the other
it's just
one.
on theirs. Oh
Maybe
gosh, I
but
should have put it on
anyways,
the top.
yeah, if you want to go back to the other one real quick, the last thing I have to say,
Yeah,
two things. One is you can now get B-roll from ChatGPT. I don't know if you knew that, but you can tell it, I forget what it's called, but you can say, create me um, a mountain with horses running through it or whatever, and it'll give you
right.
like three B-rolls to put in a video, which is pretty crazy. And
Was it
then
was it this one?
I
I'm
think
sorry to
so, but
interrupt you.
honestly, whatever they send it to, just whatever QR code, we'll get that to you. So,
Yeah, yeah, well,
and then last to answer that question, and honestly, for everybody still on the call, this goes for you too. Create content that it's not that you're not doing it in the intention of selling yourself, but just
yeah,
helping others and adding value to them.
yep.
And I promise you that the rest of it is gonna work itself out. So Matt,
It
thank you
all
so much,
falls in.
man. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to us. And we'll see you guys at the next one.
awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it so much. Talk to you
Yeah.
soon.